Welcome to my channel Lecture Notes. So today I'll be explaining a partition novel Basti, specifically chapter 2 and 3, which is written by Intezar Hussain. So in the first chapter, Zakir was living in Rupnagar, and in the second chapter he has shifted to Vyapur with his mother and father after the departure of B. So he had in this particular morning, he is late and he's peacefully doing his every other work, whether it is breakfast or packing his bag. While on the other hand, his parents are agitated because he's not on time. So Zakir morning started late and there was a little commotion in the house because his mother wanted to know was there any news from Dhaka because her sister with Tahira and her husband had shifted to Dhaka. So Zakir's mother is very much worried because there is no positive or negative news from Dhaka and she's worried for her sister. But when Zakir reached the college, he saw that here and there, the big clay flower plots had been smashed to pieces, the classrooms were empty, and the glass panes of the doors had been shattered with broken glass lying both inside the classroom and outside on the veranda. So clearly, there is no sign of education, no sign of peace. There is only commotion and destruction in the environment. And he knew that the normal college would not run because every place is deconstructed because of the protest. And then he reached Shiraz. Shiraz was a tea cafe place where he used to meet and sit with his friends. So he knew that there will be no education and nothing normal in the college. Therefore, he goes to Shiraz to meet his friends, where on just sitting, he gets the news the liquor shop has been looted. And now, every other day, every other shop was looted, and it turned out to be the new normal. So, in the new era where India and Pakistan had been partitioned, every place was still looted, and there was still commotion in whole environment. News and rumors both have one day lifespan. The next day, what difference does it make if you find out that it wasn't news but rumor, or that it wasn't rumor but news, is said by Ifan, his friend. So, this is the conversation that all the friends are having. They say that one day they hear all the positive news that how Pakistan is doing its victory, they are having victory, they have burned that petrol pump, they have acquired that place. But the next day they hear almost the opposite news and they don't have a real source to know what is happening around them, what is happening in India or in any other place. So they don't know what is a news or what is a rumor because they don't have a true source to know. And then there is another friend, Salamat, who is basically a bastard that he doesn't know exactly his father or mother had his a normal relationship or not. So he's a bastard and a revolutionary at that point of time. And when they reach Shiraz, all the friends are sitting, and there is a protest going outside. Therefore, the owner of Shiraz shuts down the drapes and makes the environment soothy and kind of a silent. To which Salamat respond, yes, and because you don't want to hear the voice of the people, but you perilous devil, this voice can no longer be suppressed. It will come ripping its way through curtains and it will burst your eardrums too. So he says that you can't protect yourself, you can't create a protective environment, or you cannot protect yourself at present condition. You need to gear up, you need to stand up in the protest for your own self, for your own country. So he is seen as a revolutionary who wants to stand up for his own ideas and country. Then Zakir moves backward into his memory lane when Sabira came to Vyapar for few days. When the engine used to whistle, the boat used to run at rooftop and for hours used to watch trains passing by. Sabira was excited to know whether the train goes to Delhi or not, to which Zakir responds that when they both are a bit old and he gets a job in Delhi, they both could live together. Ironically, it turned out in future Sabira used to live alone and used to do job in Delhi. She portrays an image of an independent Muslim woman living in Delhi at the time of partition. So there was a brief time where Sabira came to live in Vyapur, where they both had a intimate period where they both used to sit on the rooftop and used to see the trains passing by. Where one day Sakhir comments that once they are grown up, he would like to live with her in New Delhi when he gets the job. But it turns out to be ironic because she will in future, I'll be telling this kind of, I'm giving a glimpse of chapter 7 and 8, that she is going to live alone in Delhi, and she shows an independent woman who lives in Delhi alone and works. And at that point of time, a woman going out was not acceptable. Rather than women getting education and getting a job was a big deal. So she shows an fully independent woman who not only lives on her own, who gets her education, who also manages her own wishes and her own house. Then Abba Jan tells Zakir how curfew was so much strict at his point. So this whole page will be the comparison of curfew, that how at the time of Abba Jan was the curfew, how at the time of Zakir's grandfather, that the Abba Jan grandfather, how he faced the curfew and what it is right now. So Abba Jan tells Zakir how curfew was so much strict at that point of time. Taking reference to Jallianwala Bagh massacre, he said, for 3 nights, no one lit a lamp in his house. There was so much light from the fire. The petrol pump burned for 3 days and 3 nights. The flame reached to the sky. Then what happened was that the bank was looted and the looting spread to the cloth market. So similarly, the basic crux of every curfew is that the places are looted. Right now, at the time of coronavirus, also we hear in the news that this the phone shop is looted or any gold place is looted, gold shop is looted. So the basic crux, because of unemployment, because of poverty, the basic crux is always seen that there is the looting done in various shops. And secondly, he tells that a petrol pump burned for 3 days and nobody lit a matchstick or nobody lit a candle or anything for the light because the whole sky was burning up, which is a point of magical realism, fantasy, and reality amalgamated together. Then Zakir father also tells what his father faced, that basically what Zakir's grandfather faced at the point of curfew, that there was so much a strict curfew that they had to keep even the bodies of the dead in the house for 3 days sometimes. They couldn't even get a piece of plain cloth for a shroud, and they couldn't even get a grave for the burial. They could wrap the body in Kuroi's sacking, and in the dark of night, making sure that no soldier was watching, they would bury the body right there in the lake. And this is how he tells that whether it is Hindu or Muslim, both suffered because of Britishers, and now they are suffering because of violence they are doing to each other. So his grandfather, what he faced was the colonization of Britishers at that point of time. That was a curfew, and right now what they are facing the curfew because of the partition and because of the Muslim and Hindu rights towards each other. So moving to the next chapter, that is a silence in the streets. So here in the second chapter there is totally commotion in the house because the mother father is worried because what is happening in the Dhaka, and secondly in the outside there are protests, the houses are burned, the colleges are destroyed, the roads are almost topsy-turvy, the vehicles are burned. But in the third chapter it is a contrary situation where there is complete silence, that is the silence after or before the storm. So yesterday was a terrifying scene when Zakir left for college, cars with their windows smashed, and a half-burned double-decker that lay all day in the middle of the road, had proclaimed the devastation that happened there. After the brick hurling, slogan shouting procession, and nervous pedestrians, the closing shops with their rapid family shutters, there had been only one occasion timid bus or scooter cab picking its way through scattered bricks and glasses. So he tells the next day what happened after that commotion, what happened the next day after the buses and the vehicles were burned. It was a lazy morning and there was no commotion seen there. It was complete empty silence. But today was a contrary. Joy, disgust, hatred, rage, every emotion was expressed in whispers. That how every emotion was suppressed, nobody was openly expressing, and if they were expressing in whispers. Everyone began to feel suffocated because they could only express their emotions in whispers. They couldn't do anything at that point of time, they couldn't do anything in that situation. So when Zakir went to Shiraz, there too the atmosphere was stifling. No noise, no confusion, no burst of laughter, no loud voices. That how the normal life has been uprooted, and there was no normal person laughing and talking about his life because there was so much destruction that they had seen in the last few days, or particularly the last day, that there was no sound or no happiness to be seen. So in Shiraz, there was also a regular customer who asked to sit with them and told, when I set out from my home, my hair was all black and I went any age at all. I was only 20 or 21. When I reached Pakistan and washed myself and looked in the mirror, my hair had turned entirely white. That was my first day in Pakistan. I left my home with black hair and my family. When I reached Pakistan, my hair was white and I was alone. So, how when one leaves India and reach Pakistan, he earlier had a home and he earlier had himself his black hair. But when he reached Pakistan, he had lost his youth. His black hair had turned into white. He had lost his family. He had lost his appetite, his health, his wealth, everything. So how the partition made a person lost everything, whether it is his family, his youth, his health, his wealth, everything. He Nobody gained anything after partition, and what did they lose was everything. Zakir gives his opinion regarding our own history and their own, and studying history. Other people's history can be read comfortably, the way a novel can be read comfortably. But my own history, I'm on the run from my own history and catching my breath in the present. So he gives an opinion about the history. He is a history lecturer in a college, and he tells that teaching history or reading history is very much easy because you just have to sit on a couch or sit on a bench and read about it. You don't have to use your mind or you don't have to be baffled about it. But to be the part of the history is the most difficult part. And what he says that he doesn't want to, he's unable to breathe in uh, this particular time because he's the part of the history. So right now at the time of corona also, we people, our century is the part of history. So when our next generation will read about this particular incident of corona of this particular century, they will be comfortably, hope so, they will be comfortably sitting around and reading about it. But we are the one who had faced it, and we are the one who are unable to, who are adjusting to this environment but are facing the consequences also. So similarly, Zakir says that it is very easy to read about history, but to be the part of the history is the most difficult part. So thank you. In the next video, I'll be explaining the further chapters. Thank you for watching this video and do like and subscribe my channel.